Okay, so the next area in which we're currently using genomics or new developments apart from single step is this new product called Angus HeiferSELECT. So I just want to take you through that and give you a bit of a quick overview of it. So particularly one of the new developments, I guess, which genomics is starting to provide us with is the ability to provide some kind of selection tools for commercial producers based on genomics. So this is just a snapshot of some of the things which are happening in North America. So two products, GeneMax Advantage and also GeneMax Focus. So GeneMax Advantage, these products are both available through the American Angus Association. The GeneMax Advantage is a tool that's focused on the selection of commercial Angus heifers, and GeneMax Focus is focused on selection of steers to go into a feedlot program. So these are just two examples, I guess, of what's happening in North America. At a conference I was at last year, I think there's around 15 different products that are now available to the commercial sector. So in association along similar lines to this, we've been going through and working very closely with Zoetis regarding the development of a selection tool for commercial Angus females. So it's been called Angus HeiferSELECT. Now, just to define this in a little bit detail, what we mean by commercial Angus females, it's only available, first of all, to commercial members of Angus Australia. So it's not just available for anyone. People need to be part of the Angus Australia organisation. It's only available for females and animals which are greater than 87.5% Angus. So particularly they need to be straight bred Angus animals, not crossbred. And most importantly, it's only available for heifers who have been sire verified to a registered Angus bull. So it's available, I guess, to commercial producers of Angus Australia who are using registered bulls within their operation. It's not available to people who are using unregistered bulls. So how it works is based on a DNA sample. A commercial member of Angus Australia will take a DNA sample on their heifer, and based on that, that'll go away to the lab. They'll first of all get the individual sire identified. So the first thing is we'll get an individual sire identified for each heifer and an indication of the breeding value of that animal based on its genomic information. So that'll then be combined. Those two bits of information will be combined, and the end result is producers end up with, on a heifer, genetic predictions for 8 different traits and genetic predictions and a star rating for total breeding value. So what that means in real terms, I guess, is this is an example results for a particular animal. So we have here 4 genetic predictions that relate to what I've called cow value up there, which is basically traits regarding the cow-calf operation. So calving ease, weaning weight, milk and mature cow weight. 4 genetic predictions relating to carcass value, so carcass weight, eye muscle area, rib fat and IMF. A total breeding value and then a star rating system as well out of 5 stars. So a few things to note about this information is, first of all, it's not an EBV as such. So it's not reported as an EBV. It's reported as a genetic prediction on a 0 to 100 scale. So all these values range from 0 to 100, where 50 is the average genetics of a typical commercial Angus heifer. So we've done some work, we've done some pilot testing and collected, well, we've calculated these values on animals in the sire benchmarking program where they were commercial herds with registered sires, and effectively 50 is the average genetics of cohorts 1 to 5 of the sire benchmarking program at the initial stage. The second thing is you don't get any accuracy values. So unlike EBVs, you don't get an accuracy value reported with the genetic prediction. Information is only, the genetic predictions are only reported if they hit minimum accuracy thresholds. So there's still some QA checking, but you don't get an accuracy value reported. You only get limited traits. So there's only the 8 traits. In the Angus BREEDPLAN analysis, we have 25 different traits. At this stage, there's only 8 different traits. The information is updated fortnightly, so it's updated in association with our Angus BREEDPLAN analysis. So you do get information updated every 2 weeks. Over time, it's not likely the information will change too much, but if updated information became available, then things will change. Likewise, the figures are comparable across herds and across years. Just to stress this point again, is the information is only available for heifers. So we have some DNA checks in there around sex and on straight bred Angus. So again, there's some DNA checks in there around the breed content, and the animal must be verified to a registered sire. So if it doesn't tick any of those boxes, then it doesn't get any information. The other just last point to note is that these animals, even though they're recorded on the Angus Australia database, they don't have any registration status. So they're not part of the Angus Australia herd book as such. So they're a completely separate group of animals to our routine kind of information which we're recording through our HPR, our APR or ACR type animals. So they're recorded on the database but don't have any registration status. So why would a producer go and test with this? Really the product has been designed around making people be able to make more informed female selection decisions. So if they're trying to select their commercial females, they've got some selection pressure on there. It's really about trying to identify females and enable them to retain their females with the highest genetic merit, or conversely, I guess, to cull those with the lowest genetic merit. To start to select females based on their genetic merit, not necessarily their age. So age is a big selection criteria at the moment for a lot of people, but by describing this and they're comparable across years, we can really hone in on what the genetic merit of heifers are. One of the main benefits, I think, is for people to be able to benchmark their herds. So to go through, look at what genetics are of their heifers, identify their strengths and weaknesses, and particularly then tailor their bull selection decisions to put in the best genetics in future selection decisions. Because we do get individual sire information on each heifer, people can, well, it's not normally a big deal in commercial herds, the ability to manage inbreeding. One of the things we're seeing in North America is around marketing opportunities. So at the moment, a lot of people will market their progeny, if you like, their steers or their surplus heifers, around the fact that they're by certain bloodlines. This is now in North America, we're starting to see, well, they're producing the average kind of HeiferSELECT values or genetic predictions on their cow herd by way of marketing those their progeny into different things. So if they're trying to market into a feedlot, saying, well, yes, we've got high marbling genetics or high growth genetics, etc. It does also provide additional value to registered bulls. So one of the things we've been really focused in on is providing this to the progeny, the heifer progeny of registered bulls. So it's differentiating, I guess, the value of using a registered bull in your operation versus using an unregistered bull. And that it does provide these type of tools to you if you are using registered bulls. It does also provide additional value to seed stock members who are utilising genomics themselves. So, for instance, in that sense, one of the first requirement is to do the sire verification. Now, if you've been purchasing bulls, or commercial producers have been purchasing bulls from a seed stock operation who hasn't doing any genomics, then the commercial producer has to go out and do the DNA profiles on their sires. In this case, if you're buying from someone who's already done some DNA testing and we have DNA profiles on all the bulls that you've used, then they've already done that work for you. So it's providing, I guess, additional bang for buck for people who are investing in genomics. You're providing an additional service to your clients. Rick?
So you're saying that you've got 5 bulls that you have genomics on.
Yep.
I don't need to know which bull that heifer's by. This will tell me, or
this will tell you that, correct?
Right,
Yep.
So I can just put in the 5 bulls that all the heifers by.
Correct. Yep. You just got to know the prerequisites, which I'll get to, is you need to know what bulls you used that year, and we need to have DNA on them. And it'll do the individual sire verification.
With a single step, will that feed in will that
Yes.
size more accurate?
It'll utilise the genomic information better, yeah, particularly.
So it's
Wendy?
just a tail hair?
It's exactly the same, yes, it can be exactly the same sample type. It's through the Angus Australia testing pipeline. Yep.
So when you just said to Sam, the accuracy, it's only going to impact the accuracy of the traits measured, so calving ease, carcass weight.
Yeah. Sorry, yes. Yes, it won't get you a better identification of the sire, no. But it will utilise the information on that sire in the single step versus blending, etc. Yeah. So just one of the things, I guess, just to go through, we were very mindful when we were talking to Zoetis and developing this, is to ensure that the genetic predictions were accurate. So there's several ways we've gone through and looked at this. The first one is to look at, well, what's the equivalent EBV accuracy of the genetic predictions? So by that, if they don't have an EBV accuracy reported, we can go through and calculate what it would have been within the Angus BREEDPLAN analysis. So based on the sire and the DNA profile, this is across 4,900 animals, which we've used as part of our testing. This gives you the average EBV accuracy of those. So you can see they're a lot lower than our routine seed stock animals, which I'll show you in a second, but they're in this kind of 55% range. So we were comfortable based on that they had sufficient accuracy to be informative. Just by comparison, I've also gone and pulled out, well, what's the average accuracy of the EBVs of current stud animals on the HPR, APR and Red Angus register that have genomic predictions, and you can see the comparison. So there are a lot that they are lower, which we would hope, given these animals have also got comprehensive performance information, but they're also in the, they're not that far below. So for some of these traits, the weaning weight and these, they're kind of that 10 to 15% lower accuracy. For some of the harder to measure and lower heritability traits, they're more in that 5% lower accuracy. So again, we're really focusing on the fact that we're comfortable that the HeiferSELECT predictions are of sufficient accuracy to be useful. The other way we looked at it was how much do animals re-rank? So between their actual EBVs and their genetic predictions, how much re-ranking do we get? And so we took a group of animals where we had EBVs and calculated the HeiferSELECT genetic predictions for them. And you can see the correlations are in about that 0.8 across it, 0.75, 0.8, depending on the trait. For rib fat, they're a little bit lower. So again, it was showing us that we got some re-ranking, so there was benefits of doing EBVs and collecting performance information, yet they weren't being turned totally on their head. So they were still doing a good job of describing the genetic merit of these commercial heifers. So what's the kind of process, I guess, for people to order tests? Take you through some logistics. The first one is that it needs to be ordered exclusively through Angus Australia, so it's a part of our DNA services. The prerequisites, and this comes back to answering Rick's question before, you need to be a commercial member, or the person needs to be a commercial member of Angus Australia, and all potential sires need to be identified and genotyped. So one of the things that is more of a challenge than I was aware of in a commercial, some of our commercial operations through some of the pilot testing we're doing is actually knowing who all the bulls were they used. So that's the first thing, you need to know basically who they're at and have DNA available on those to do the sire verification. You then basically take your samples, and as I said before, it's exactly the same kind of sample types. So generally it's a hair or a TSU. Send and complete your order form, which is available from the Angus Australia website. Send that off. It's an electronic order form, so you email that off to Angus Australia. You also print it off and send it to Angus Australia with your samples. They then just go through the normal pipeline and you'll get your results back, which are all reported electronically through the Angus Australia website. So a similar area to our database search. The big question, of course, is what's the cost? So we've been discussing this with Zoetis as we've gone and tried to make it available at lower cost as possible. The retail price is, as it's currently been released, is at $49.50 per heifer. So it's $50 basically per animal to do this test. So that's a snapshot. I guess for further information about this is available on the Angus Australia website. So if you want to go through and have a bit of a look, within the breeding tab here, there's this option here to do Angus HeiferSELECT, and there's a whole range of different information. It's also, this is a joint product between Zoetis and Angus Australia, so if you want further information or discuss it further, then either get in touch with Zoetis or Angus Australia staff, and we can talk you through it in a bit more detail.